Hello ladies, welcome to day 2 of 12 days of Craftmas. This is the next project that we're going to be working on. Another card, Christmas Carol stamp that we're going to be working with, Tim Holtz dies. We're going to have some fun with this one. So to start with, we're going to make the leaves, the foliage, and we're going to go back to the basics with this. So I'm using Tim Holtz inks. This is peeled paint. Just put some on my craft mat, break up that ink with my finger, give your paper, this is watercolor paper, just give it a light mist of water and then go in and pick up some of the peeled paint ink. And we're gonna dry this and we're just gonna layer on some colors. We're working with peeled paint, forest moss, and we're gonna add in some brown in there as well, just to give it a nice vintage feel. Let's put that out of the way so I don't drip on it. Get rid of those drips. And then just mop up some more ink. Add a little water to get some movement. So I hope everyone enjoyed the day 1. Project that we did yesterday, the beautiful trees. If you are just jumping on today, make sure you go back. You can find all of the videos on YouTube. Sadly, since Facebook is deleting our Facebook Lives, we can't go that route. So okay, so we've got some light green. I think I'm gonna add some brown in there right now. So we're using walnut stain. Again, break up that ink. The brown is more for the little sprigs that have the berries on them. I just wanted a little browner. So I'm just kind of concentrating on that one corner. And mop up the rest of that. And then we're going to go in with some forest moss. Again, add a bit more water. Back to the basics. Some things are just timeless. Okay, so just keep going with your color. Just keep adding some more peeled paint, some forest moss, some brown, until you get the desired look that you are looking for. Let that dry, and then just like that, they're die cut. Trying to do all the prep ahead of time. So we've got our little pieces there. Now we need to work on the background of our card. So I'm just going to make sure I've got things. No more green on there. Now for the background, again, we're just going back to the basics. That we're going to use some antique linen and some old paper. and a little bit of vintage photo to do that. So again, back to the basics. Because we're doing an all over, I'm just using a paper towel to hold so that I don't get my fingerprints on here. So old paper is it's a very light color. So I'm just going to add that on first. And the old paper and the antique linen, I'm using the same sponge, the same foam blending tool. I'm not switching. And you're just going to keep adding ink till you get the desired look that you are wanting. You want it to look like old vintage music paper is what we're going for. Okay, so I think that's good. Let's move over to the vintage photo. And this is the one that we're going to add on the outsides. And then just lightly blend it in slightly. As you can see, it's not perfect all the way around. Okay, and then lastly, I'm just adding some scorched timber just on the edges. Just want to add that and I don't want to blend it in. I don't want it to go that far into the card. I want it more just on the edges. Okay, now we're going to stamp. And this is an old Tim Holtz stamp, 95. But it has beautiful Christmas music stamp on it. And for this, I'm going to use the stamp platform. I have a few of these in stock. If you've never used one, they are a game changer for me. It makes your stamping so much easier, especially if you need to go back and restamp it. I've added, this is a little jelly mat. You can get them in the shop. I have that added on to the stamp platform. The platform comes with magnets, but I really like this jelly mat because it holds my project in place. So I can just put my card right in the corner like that. And then I can take my stamp and I can place it right where I want it, close the cover, and it picks up your stamp. So it's going to stamp exactly where I want it. I'm using Archival, the frayed burlap. So I'm just going to, I'm going to try to not do a perfect stamp so you can see how cool this is. So yeah, so see how I didn't press very hard on purpose so that it's very sketchy. What's great about this is that you just open it back up, add more ink, and your stamp is in the exact same spot. So you can just keep going back and re-inking until you get the desired look that you want. I like that. You could go back for one more if you want, but I like that it's just still a little bit faded because it is old paper. But if you wanted to go back for another stamp, you definitely could. Now, I do recommend if you get the little jelly pad, because it is super, super sticky, it comes with a sheet. You can kind of see I did have an X on mine just so that you can see it, because when it's on your table, it's sometimes hard to find where it is. So I did have markings on there to try to find it, but make sure you put that back on there, because if not, this sticks to that and you're going to have one heck of a time trying to open it. Okay, so that's the stamp platform. So we have our card now. Now we're going to use, I have the Tim Holtz stencil, and we're going to add some translucent grit paste. And I want it translucent. I don't want it white. I want it to dry clear. So that's where the translucent will dry clear. And then we're going to add some rock candy glitter on top. So I'm just going to place my stencil, grab a generous amount of paste, and I'm going through the whole stencil. And I'm not making, I'm going level with the stencil. I'm not adding extra to make it chunky. Whoops, you know what? My stencil just moved there ever so slightly, so I'm gonna call it quits because I don't wanna muck it up any further than I already did. So I'm gonna keep that, clean my knife. I forgot to grab my tub of water to throw this in. So I'm just going to do a makeshift so that it stays damp till I'm done. So I can go and clean it. Now we've got our paste that's on our card. I'm going to use our paper, and I've got the rock candy in here, really pretty glitter. Actually, I see one little spot there where I goofed. So I'm just going to sprinkle. Now I do find sometimes with, and actually I think I did it on this one, with the glitter, that you can see that it's stuck to the background of the card too. That's just because the ink is wet. Once this all dries, that should just fall right off. Oh, I don't want to do that. So we're going to set this to the side to dry. And then this is one that I completed earlier. And I'm just going to grab a brush, and yeah, I don't know if you can see because this one had it on there as well, but I'm just using the brush. It's going to take off the excess glitter and leave what's on the stencil. Yeah, so all that excess that was just sitting on the card, stuck to the ink, is now dry. And I can just brush it off with a paintbrush. I have these bands for my paste. I got them on Amazon. I can't remember exactly what they're called. If anyone's interested, I can just send me a message and I can send you the link. It seems to really help keep my paste so that they're not drying out. You just put the band right over your the seal of your paste, and it stops air from getting in there. And so far, it seems to be working for me, which is wonderful because we all know how frustrating it is when paste dries out on us. Okay, so that's the card that's complete. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to ink our tags, and I'm going to use, could use a little scorched. I was going to use my walnut. Oh, there it is. I'm just going to ink these guys up. So this is just going to give me just overall color. And then I'm going to add a little bit of ink and just distress them a little bit. Just so that they're not perfect. Love that little watermark. So I think I'm gonna perfect. Add just a little bit more ink to the edges. Okay, these guys are going just on the side of our card, and I've done a little Christmas stamp on there. So what I'm gonna do actually is just a little piece of tacky tape, just because I want it to secure right away. I'm gonna add that. I don't want it moving when I'm stamping, and I don't want to wait for the glue to dry. So these, I'm just overlapping them ever so slightly. And then this is an old stamp, it's been around for a long time. I couldn't even tell you who made it. Again, it's just a stamp from my stash that has this really cute, it's another postage stamp. And I think I'm gonna use, maybe I'll grab this one, the Ground Espresso archival ink. And we're gonna grab our paper again. And I just want the word Christmas and the 1225 in the corner. Perfect. Okay, so this little guy is going to go in the bottom corner, and it's going to line up against the edge of this tag, and then I'm going to cut the rest of that off. So again, I'm using my little glue gun, which I love, and you're going to put that right in the bottom corner. And then flip it over and cut off the excess of that tag, and you'll have to go back and just make sure you ink that edge up. Okay, now our skates. I do have a pair that's ready to go. This you will have to prepare them, and then you're going to have to set them aside and let them dry. So to start, I just wanted to make them look vintage and old. So I'm going to use the antique linen. And I'm just going to lightly go over the top of the skate. We're going to be covering all of the bottom. So we're just making it look old. Just a little weathered. And then we need translucent crackle paste. If you have some of the crackle glossy accents, that will work too. I've just got this paste. It looks white, but it will dry clear. So I'm just taking some paste and putting it, you don't want it like just barely, like you want a thin layer, but you want it a little bit thicker, because the thicker the paste, the more cracks you'll get, but you don't want it like goopy. So we just want just kind of like that. That's what we're looking for. And you can go over the holes, that's fine. All right. Oh, don't like that. There we go. So I'll just set those to the side. Now with Crackle, for those of you that have never used it, you have to let it to the side. You cannot force it to dry. You have to put it to the side and let it air dry. So I have a set ready to go here. So this is what they look like when they are dry, and you've got these great cracks. So I want to make them look old, and I want to accentuate the cracks. So I have Distress Crayon in Ground Espresso, and I'm just adding just a little tiny bit, and you can add some water, and it's just going to get in those cracks. And then I'm going to take a paper towel and just, it's still a little bit wet, which is perfect, just so that you get those aged cracks on there. You don't need much of the crayon. A little goes a long way. I don't think just add it, it would just kind of catch the edges of the paper, just to go in there and ink them around the edges. Perfect. Okay, now we have the pieces. The die cut comes with the pieces to make the skate. And so just gonna grab a scrap piece of paper. So the bottom part of the skate, the blade, I've used brushed iron metallic wax, and that I just add just a little bit of wax. You can, if you're okay with pushing, you can just put your finger on the tip, but it's just a little easier for me to go in so I can tap off and just brush it with my finger. So we're going to brush off and cover the blade. You could also use, I think there's a silver, an old silver, that would work perfect too. Right, the finger. So that's the blade. And then the little heel part is, I'm not gonna do it just because I did have to dip. You could paint it black. You could actually, let's just spray it black. That's quick. If you use ink, then you have to gradually add all of your colors. So this will work perfect. So this is just the black soot spray stain. Just trying not to get my fingers too goopy. down. Perfect. Okay, once those are dry, then you just glue everything, excuse me, just glue everything together. And I do have a set ready. So this is the blade, and I've just glued that little piece on, and then you just glue this onto your skate to complete it. And just like that, you have, oh, I just dropped my piece. Now, to make it look authentic, we are going to add the laces, because you got to make it look authentic. So remember I said you didn't have to worry about your holes. I have my handy dandy little push pad for those of you that have been with me since the Scrapbook Central days in Medicine Hat. I still use mine. So take your skates, flip them over. You can see on the back side where the little holes. So I'm just using my paper piercer to poke the holes so that you can see them on the other side. So it's a little harder to see. Okay, I already have I have some string. It's just some crochet cotton on a needle. So I've just got a longer piece. Now you can just go and loop it once, or if you want to zigzag, like do the crisscross, you can do that too. So I'm going to start at the top on the outside. So I'm going to leave a little tail. These little tails I'm just going to glue on the back, and then I'm going to go into the second hole. So I'm going to go down the one side, and I'm feeding it from the back. And then when I get to the bottom, then I just go down from the front to make the crisscross. No, that's not right. Hold on. Sorry, there we go. Crisscross and up. There we go. And go into the hole that we missed going. Okay, so we have that one. So I'm just going to cut it off. So I've got just a little bit of a tail. I'm going to take a piece of my two-sided tape and just pull both ends. Kind of make them look like they're crossed onto the back side, and just secure those ends. Just like that. Because we're going to go and we're going to wrap the string after. So again, starting on at the top. I think I went think I did that one the wrong way. Yep. Oh well, it still worked great. It was just that last stitch that wasn't quite right. So I'm going in from the front. There we go, that makes sense. That's better. Still the same outcome. It's just that that stitch right at the top just looked. There we go. Okay, trim those again. And put those ends to the back. Okay, now I want to pop these up. So they're going to go like this. So on this top skate, actually I'm going to remove this. Doesn't really matter. Just so I can put, so I've got, I'm going to put another one down here just for when we do attach it all together. I'm going to leave that one on. So they're just attached about like that with foam squares. Then I'm going to use my string. I don't need the needle anymore. And we're going to wrap, but we need to tie a bow. So make sure you leave a tail so that you can tie a bow, and just go 3 times or so. Tie it into a knot first. Then I've got this cute little bell charm. Attach it on there. Any kind of Christmas charm that you have would be cute. Run it over a little. Tie another knot, because if the bow comes out, you don't want to lose your charm. And then make your bow cute. Trim off the excess. I love my Tim Holtz recoil scissors. If you haven't seen these, they're fantastic, especially if you have, if you're doing any kind of fussy cutting, or if you have arthritis or anything. These scissors are fabulous, and you can find them in the shop. I do have them. I do have a few available. Okay, so there's our skates are done. Now it's just a matter of assembling everything onto our card. So I've got the sprigs, and how we're going to attach them is, trying to remember what I did here. Oh yeah, this. I'm going to show you the little red berries after we kind of get it all together. So I've got these 2 sprigs. I'm just going to add some glue on there. And I'm just going to glue. So I'm going to put one of the berry sprigs going off to the left, and then the other one going towards the right. So that's going to be on each side of the skate. Our third one, I'm going on one of these leaves, and I want it about like that. I found it a little easier to attach these pieces if they were in segments like this, instead of individual pieces trying to stuff them under. So to start with, I've got these bigger ones. These are all Tim Holtz dies, and I'm gonna add that one on the right side of the skate and the other one on the left. Just like that. And then I'm just gonna place it or set it on my card because I need to know exactly where this is going to go so that it's gonna fit on my card. So right like that. Again, it will dry clear, so I'm not that worried about. And then again, just making sure that it's gonna fit. And then the last one right in the center. And I think I'll add this little, actually, I'm gonna hold on to that guy first. So all of these pieces are attached on the back of the skate. I'm gonna lift up that piece. Now all of this needs to be glued down really well onto, we have paste and we have the rock candy glitter that's on there. So regular glue is not going to work. So I have heavy body gel. You can use a gel medium. You need something that's going to be stronger. So on the back side, and this, because I'm not going to see it, I also want it kind of goopy. And the reason for that is so that it goes in between and catches the paper. And again, it all dries clear. So if you have some showing on the other side, it's fine. And I'm not going all the way up my leaves. I want some dimension left. I want them to kind of look like they're not fully attached. So I have that. All my glue. Set it on my card, and then that last leaf that I had, just gonna add a little bit of glue on either side and just stuff it in that empty spot right there. And like I say, you can, this will dry clear if you wanna, I kind of take off just a little bit of, not too worried about in there. The goopies, you won't even see it once it's dry. So just like that. I forgot to show you the berries, what I did with the berries. So I used some glitter stickles. You can also use some liquid pearls. I have some of the red liquid pearls in the shop if you would like some. So all I did for that, I didn't do it. You could possibly do it on here. I just wouldn't want it to run. I did it when my greenery was done. All you do is just squeeze out and then lift up. Make sure you make your little circle and then lift up to get a perfect. And then I also, in the second one I made, just gonna show you. So this was my first one that I did, and I just did the berries. The second one, I wanted just a little bit more red, and so I added just a little tiny little hint of a berry on the end of the twigs. I did that as well because I thought it just gave it just a little bit more pop of a color. Lastly is one of the Tim Holtz tokens, and I have a piece of red wire that I'm just gonna loop a couple times. Tim Holtz scissors are excellent for cutting thin wire. And this as well, I'm using the heavy body gel to attach. So just add, and that is going right there. All right, there you be, ladies. We have completed day 2. Thank you for joining me. We will see you tomorrow.